Hello everybody, back here again for a vlog a day, and today is Tuesday the 9th, and today was a lovely, beautiful day to be alive. Got this morning, fairly decent time frame, got up and around, and got the dog outside, jumped in the hot tub, got back in, got her fed, and basically chilled out for the morning. Wife had got off to work fairly quickly, she had some stuff to get done that was kind of a little bit of a hurry to get out of the house, and then basically, I had a dog getting dropped off in the morning. I also had to meet with a gentleman who was picking up another load of records. We sold my father-in-law's record collection, and he's picking them up in like 4 different loads. A couple of reasons. One, he didn't have that much money easily accessible in his life to buy them all. And two, in this way, he can basically bring them home in 4 chunks, go through them and put them in his record shop, because they're for sale. They're not personal collection. So instead of having to move them to the warehouse or having to rent a warehouse space and then transfer them multiple times, they're able to stay at my father-in-law's house, and from there basically just move up to the record shop, which works out really easily. So kind of is what it is there. So yeah, I went ahead, and in that whole process of that, record guy got there first, and then I was over hanging out with him, helping them kind of figure out which ones are taking this chip. This is their 3rd load they're taking. He thinks he can get it all in 1 more load, and I think he's gonna need a 5th load. So we've got the payment schedule set up to where he's paying, he paid the most first load, and then he pays the next thirds, each third, all 3 loads. So he kind of had that concept there of like, shit, if it don't fit in the 4th load, then, you know, he didn't want to leave records here and without us being owed money, and I'm not letting him take records out of here until he pays me. So it becomes that situation. He's like, well, next load will probably end up being 2 loads back to back kind of thing, so he'll end up in the warehouse, or if you can make room for him wherever you're gonna stage them at, I don't know. But kind of had that concept. I'm like, well, you do whatever makes you happy, but I don't think you're gonna fit them all in the next 1 more load. It doesn't make sense. So who knows, we'll see what happens. But yeah, kind of had that conversation. We all chatted. He brought an employee down with him to help him load up stuff, and then I helped him wheel some dollies full of records out, and they're just heavy. They're just awkward and heavy and bulky, and one of the things that makes me a little bit nuts, doesn't make sense, but he brings the U-Haul boxes, which are really good for packing records in. You can fit 75 to 100 records in there, depending on if they're double albums or not or whatever, and he doesn't tape the top shut, which drives me a little bit nuts, because when he goes to put them in that way, like into his vehicle, or even stack them up on the piles, he's always fidgeting with the extra flaps, and it just seems like so much more work. I'm like, just tape the thing shut. Like, I gave you a tape gun. Like, it's my tape gun. Who gives a shit? Like, just, it's not like you're saving money. It doesn't make any sense. But hey, he does this for a living. He's Bozo knows better, so have at it. But even once they're like load them up, they're putting the second layer and they're all stacked on top of each other, and then take them back out and push the flap down, and then employees help me push it down and stuff, and it's just, it's great. So kind of is what it is. But they got that all done finally. Then I headed back over to the house, got the check, and my father-in-law was wanting the 1 room emptied out. He's supposedly putting something there, but he doesn't seem to want to tell me what he's putting in there. So I don't know if he thinks he's getting more fish tanks, or I have no idea. Don't know. Don't really care, to be honest with you. But it kind of is what it is there. So, but yeah, so well, that doesn't make sense. Which, one of the reasons you didn't want to empty out that room, you wanted to go to the living room, was the boxes over here have a lot of like CD sets and that kind of weird stuff that aren't going to pack as easily, and the box is not going to be quite as, I guess, easily stackable is the best way to put it. I'm thinking in my head going like, again, that makes more sense to take at least half of your load today of those oddball boxes, because you're doing 2 layers, and his vehicle stacks them too high. You could put the oddball boxes on top, and nothing stacks on top of them. Now, maybe he knows wherever he's going, to his shop or to his home or to wherever the hell he takes them to organize them and sort through them. Maybe he knows the fact that he's going to be stacked them there, so it really doesn't matter. I don't know, but could have saved him at least a chance of making a second load. And these will lay less than the actual records will. There's a lot of cardboard pomp and circumstance in these box sets that wouldn't be there in a regular record collection. So what do I know? I'm just a guy who's here hoping he can figure it out and get them all out of here eventually. So kind of asked my father-in-law like what he was, doing in the room and what he's planning on putting in afterwards. And he again seemed like he didn't want to tell me, which I thought was strange. This is something about, I told the guy buying the records, I'm like, you can just take the one in the living room, take whatever makes you happy. This room, an extra month or so ain't gonna matter before you come pick them up. Who gives a shit? Needs a room back. And I go, And he sits out about the room. I'm like, well, I said, he goes, so you got to make the decision? I go, yeah, it's my house. So, well, if you want to start paying rent, you can happily fucking, you know, you can make a decision here, but you don't pay rent. So you don't make a decision. He goes, I don't pay rent. I go, no, you don't pay rent. He goes, oh, I thought I did. I'm like, nope, you don't pay rent. I'm like, you pay my taxes on my house. I pay the taxes here because we would not have moved across the street. I would have bought a house out in the country, and then you would have stayed in the nursing home. So that's your punishment for living here, is you got to pay my overpriced taxes on my new house to offset the fact I'm not out in the country with land, which is where I wanted to be. So he's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, yep, there you go. So we kind of had that little conversation. They left, got the check, which wife just deposited. We have a separate account set up for it that's basically to cover any of his medical bills and stuff, any major problems that will come up in his life, that if he does have to go back into assisted living, that kind of thing, we can then pay for it. Because down here, assisted living is so hard to get into. You basically have to do what's called like keys for cash, pretty much. You gotta bribe your way into a facility, which we had to do last time I put him in one. And it's one of those situations where it's like, it was like, I don't know, about $5,000 it cost us to put him in one by the time we got all the bribery done and all the bullshit and everything else. And he had no money at all in his life at the time. He had a bunch of records and a bunch of NASCARs and a bunch of garbage shit he'd been buying over the years, but no cash. Like, he didn't have $5,000. Like, I remember thinking to myself, going, holy shit, like, if my wife was still married to her ex-husband and they never had $5,000 to their name, you know, what the hell would he have done? Like, where would we have put him? What would have happened to him when he went home and just died because he had nobody to take care of him? Who knows? So, you know, it's hard telling. But luckily, we're in a position where we actually have cash, but I don't want to pay another $5,000, which he did pay us back. We sold off some of his 401k stuff, or what do we had, like some stocks or some shit. We sold off and we got our money back. So it wasn't like I was like a superhero, but I was able to get him immediate cash to get him in. And then we literally walked in with a money order for the cash to bribe it, because you couldn't like put it on a credit card, because they knew what they were doing is illegal. So you can't really, maybe not even legal, but frowned upon, let's put it that way. I don't think it was hitting the actual corporate books, let's put it that way. It was like an entertainment fund bullshit thing we paid for. So, but yeah, there's always fun stuff like that. So we're keeping that money back for situations along those lines, if something like that needs to happen. So Karen's talking about taking him on a cruise also, which we might do. I said I do not want to be on a cruise ship with that man. He has some issues when it comes to waiting in line and waiting his turn, that kind of thing, that I really did not want to mess with, and I don't want to have to be involved in dealing with that hassle. So she can either hire a personal assistant to go with her, like a house nurse, or she can just deal with him on her own, completely up to her. So, but I do not want to be stuck on a boat with him. So yeah, there's that fun. But yeah, from there, I got back over, we got the new dog dropped off. I did a meet and greet with him a while back, and he's like a 12-plus-year-old little Jack Russell Terrier. The back legs don't work very good, and I got the other dog here that doesn't do well with dogs, so they gotta be kept separate. So I rotated him in and out, and the little dog did pretty good. He ran around the backyard. I should say walked around the backyard. Doesn't really run, but explored, and absolutely just loved exploring. And it was funny because he must get yelled at a lot for going too far, because if I stood up to check on him, the moment he would see me, he'd basically hustle back over to me and then hang out there for 20-30 minutes, and then he'd venture back off again. So my guess is every time the owners see him out away from them, he gets yelled at to come back. So, but yeah, we basically rotated the dogs in and out throughout the day, nothing major. Finally went and got my run in and got back from there. We decided to do some, my wife had bought some spicy chicken bites, whatever you can do in the air fryer. We had some leftover rice, so it worked out really, really well, and we knocked that out, had a great little dinner, and watched a little bit of another episode of Shameless, which is a fucking hilarious show. It's so well written. We're still in season 1, like third episode in, second, third episode, and holy shit, it's so good. But I don't know if it goes off the rails at some point, but so far it's so outside anything like the 2.5 Men type crap, or even the ranch and that kind of that general BS arena, soft, you know, like scared to say the wrong things comedy. And this one is a completely different world. So yeah, it's a great show. But from there, headed out, had myself a nice cigar, and basically rotated the dogs in and out of the house the rest of the evening, which is pretty much what I do, especially when I have the dog here. It's aggressive, and then I turn down 2 more dogs that are aggressive that want to stay, because I already got 2 dogs here that are aggressive. The one, actually all 3 of them overlapping for one night, and it's not worth the hassle. And I don't know what it is. People, I raised my rates, and people are coming to me now when they've been turned down by everybody else that they don't really have much other options. So I'm thinking about adding a solo dog, aggressive dog like category in my page for an extra, you know, 40 bucks a night, whatever, 25 bucks a night extra. I will keep your aggressive dogs that can't be around their dogs, because it does add a lot more work to me, a lot more stress. And I'm going to do the more work, I'm going to do the more stress, and I'm going to get paid more money. So, and I'm good at it. I'm really good at that side. So I might make that part of my repertoire, part of my menu, I guess, and see how it goes down. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all we got from there. Headed back in, watch a little bit of Blue Bloods, have myself a little snack, and wrapped up and called it at night. So that's all I got for right now. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have yourself a safe, wonderful day. Thanks for watching.